Welcome to another edition. I did that right. There we go. Another edition of KitSZN, and we have something fun in store for you tonight. I think you can maybe hint on the shirts or kind of the colors that we're wearing tonight.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nice and tall.
Nice and tall. But we have something fun in store for you tonight. I think we're pretty excited about this, right, Fox?
Yeah, this has kind of been a personal journey for me, and so it's really cool to have, I consider, a friend here to talk about his job and everything involved.
Yeah. And as everyone might be fully aware, as Michael is pointing down in the comments here, KitSZN is in full swing. It has been hectic. The Discord's been popping. There's been things coming out everywhere. I'm trying to frantically keep up with the spreadsheet or a tracker. It's been fun. It's been great to see. And that also kind of ties into tonight's interview. Because there's a lot going on here. So let's take a breath before this man and I spend the next 6 months rating kits. So
just from today's drops.
Just from today, we'll see. But so before we go ahead and get started, as we always do, want to shout out to our patrons down below: John Hunt, Frank Anthony, Christopher Cohn, Harry Austin, John Fuller, Michael Foots, Joshua Duder, Noah Telford, Alberto Aguilar, Jeremy Churchman, Stephen Howard, Ryan Lacara, Tim Knox, and a Fresh 30, MOS, Kunal Patel, Olive the Hedgehog, Arnold Towsley, Madcat Peel. Yes, I'm saying all of these, and these are new to me. Ryan Snetzler, and as always, Goals.tv for sponsoring tonight.
So there's new people on the list.
Yeah, I noticed it. I noticed the USL show had a longer list, so I copied theirs and put it in there. So I should keep that up to date. And as the USL show, be sure to check them out. Says be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Spotify. And speaking of interviews here, before we get to tonight's special guest, I will want to say here, come back to a special pre-recorded interview on Saturday. This man and I got to talk with the creative minds of the wildly chaotic and fun Minneapolis City folk up there. And there might be a little bit of a fun discount code and a kit release as well as part of the video. So
we got some exclusive drops. We're making it up in the big world now.
Slowly, we're getting there.
Yeah, so got exclusive drops, got discount codes for the fans. I got fancy boxes being shipped to my house. This is it took us 4 years, but we're somewhere now.
We're getting there. So be sure to check out that interview. It was a lot of fun. It then is pre-recorded, but don't post it on Spotify and YouTube at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So, but without further ado, let us go ahead and bring on our special guest here tonight, Jonathan from Louisville City. Thank you for joining us tonight. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, what's up? I've been watching the show for quite a while, enjoyed the previews and all that. So, it's crunch time for everybody at all the clubs. You guys were mentioning the kit reveals. A lot of work goes into those, no matter what club you're at. And, big kudos to everybody who's been rolling those out. We've been watching them all. I saw Lexington was tonight, the latest one I saw. So, it's almost here.
So that's what we've been talking about in the Discord, is the Lexington one. And as a new rival, essentially, because it's a natural rival that you have to have. How do you feel about their new kit release that came out?
Yeah, I mean, it's this whole debate. I feel like we've obviously gone to Puma, and that's going to be something we'll talk about. You see a lot of Charlie and Hummel and the full customization. We've done that as well on the Racing Louisville side with Nike. We get fully custom from them, but I think you got to get something cool, and you got to get a story behind it, and then you got to get people believing. And it seems like all the clubs are doing that. It kind of reminds me of if you follow college sports, or at least the old days of like signing day where everybody came in and everybody like filled their needs and they got exactly what they wanted. And, you know, he's going to like go win the league, and we're kind of at that stage of the season. So I'll be tired of that in a week, and I want the games to start.
Well, as you mentioned, kits are kind of coming out left and right. And honestly, a lot of people have been talking. The league has been done really well this year. I think everyone's kind of stepped up their game, kind of to your point. You kind of talk to people are really kind of being intentional with their kits. It's been a thing that him and I have noticed past several years. And
for the longest time, I mean, I've been paying attention to the USL for 10 years now for some reason, you know, being born and raised in Louisville. But it just seems like within like the last 3 years, the teams are actually putting in more effort to, even if they don't have the resources or the whatnots to, you know, get a fully custom or get the efforts put into their kit itself. They've been putting the effort towards the marketing for the kids and trying to, like you said, get something cool, but then tell a story. And I feel like that's something that Louisville did a really good job at this year, is trying to tell that story like we are all a part of the city. And do you want to jump into that, the marketing that came behind the new?
Yeah, that'll really be the start of our season-long brand campaign and a lot of the content that we have planned. You know, we just had our 10th season last year, so everything was anniversary, and there was a lot of looking back, which, you know, when you've got 2 stars over the badge and you've got a couple other conference titles, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff to look back at. And as I look at the future, our stadium, we get about 10,000 a game. We can fit more, and you know, we want to keep growing and help our community understand that we're a club that, you know, doesn't take lightly the fact that we're called Louisville City, and that we can be for everybody in a way. And so, you know, I think we've created something that, you know, anybody can associate with. That was a big part of the reveal, was just showing normal people doing normal things while they happen to be wearing their Louisville City gear. And that's something that we're really going to lean into this year, and just kind of show that, you know, whatever neighborhood you're from, and whether you like soccer or you don't like soccer, that this is something that you can be a part of, and it's really community driven. We always talk about that FOMO factor, and just, you know, creating something that people want to be a part of.
Yeah, that's something that I really appreciated from, you know, being a Louisvillian, you know, born and raised in Shively, and it was nice to see so much of the city and all the adverts that came out, all the posts and everything. And it was nice to see my buddy Mike in there. I consider him a buddy, but you know, we've met once and followed each other, and now all of a sudden I saw him in the Pride jersey. I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. And
he's been a huge supporter of us. I work with him on the marketing side in his day job quite a bit. And so I kind of went to him and was like, do you want to do this? And I had to, like, you know, scroll through the response on my phone because he was so pumped up about it immediately. So, you know, cool to see how excited some people were to be part of this with us.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, by the way, I know y'all created a video for this kit release. Do you mind if I play that and kind of show everyone kind of, you know, what's going on? So you know, y'all are talking about this, so I figure we should let the people know.
Especially with the local artist who did the whole thing. Yeah.
So let me go ahead and share my screen here and pop this on up here, and we can sit back and watch this real quick. So,
there's my city.
Yeah, so here is the actual kit reveal video for the Louisville City kits for 2025.
It ain't Louisville, it ain't Louisville, it's Louisville. We're proud to say it. I mean, after all, it's in our name, ain't it? You might already know our game. We got trophies raised, stars added, and traditions built. After a decade, though, we're in a new era, one that's forever faster. Louisville City represents all of us, from deep down the West End all the way out to St. Matthews, from downtown to Butchertown. This is his club, her club, their club, our club. Rep it with pride. one team for the city.
So yeah, Jonathan, one of the things that I noticed in this video, obviously there was a bunch of iconography about the cities, something I'm trying to pick up from being an Indianapolis person. I'm trying to pick up more of Louisville as my trips down there. I'm trying to pick up a little bit of it. I noticed you guys went out of your way to make it feel like it was of the community and for the community, and you really kind of emphasized that through the video, and I like how that video was presented and kind of that message was displayed. Is there anything else that kind of you wanted to emphasize with like that type of a video as well with the kits as well?
I mean, just the people, really. I mentioned that these were not the biggest celebrities of Louisville, but if you follow our club, they're recognizable. The narrator, Schloob. So we've gotten a lot of questions like, what is a Schloob? He's a local artist, musician, who's got a lot of ties to Jack Harlow, who's in our ownership group.
Yeah.
And then some of the people that you see in there, the woman that was downtown, her name's Kayla Dickerman. She is on championship winning indoor women's soccer team, represents the national team. There was a local meteorologist. Our graphic designer was in the video. So it's just, a cross section of different people who are kind of associated with our club and soccer in Louisville. And, you may not know that if you just watch it as somebody who's from outside the city, but if you're associated with Lou City or you're a season ticket holder, there'll be some familiar faces in there.
Yeah. It's one of the
So
things
even as like, because I'm kind of an outsider at this point, sadly, because I live out in St. Louis area, but like I still recognize people, and like I know the name Schloob as a Jack Harlow fan, but that would have been a kind of easy way to go if you went Harlow, you know what I mean? And I appreciate that. Even if you are an outsider, I feel like it's more ingrained to the city that it's just normal people. That they're not all models. There's a guy who's a little bit bigger rocking it. And that was one thing that I was nervous about. I'll be 100% honest with Puma, because I have a Man City jersey that I got. Well, my wife got me as a 2SL because I was 50 pounds more, but it went out. And so it was nice to see, though, that like, there's a regular looking guy with a straight up dad bod and rocking the jersey and looking good in it. So,
we call him Scouse. He's from Liverpool, and he's got a supporter group called Scouse's House. So if you ever are watching a game at Lynn Family Stadium, we've got the closed bowl, and then there's that open side with the supporter section there, and that's kind of where his people hang out. So
I don't know. I know Scout's House. I didn't realize that was him. Yeah.
Yeah. So another one of those Easter eggs, right?
Yep. There we go. See, learning stuff. Again, been a supporter for 10 years, still learning stuff. Well, 11 years. Yeah.
What I will say, one of the things that Fox and I always kind of talk about on the show is knowing your audience and knowing your club and knowing your community. And when you include the everyday people of the city, the club, and then you elevate them, you what's the word I'm trying to look for? You show them all
celebrities, yeah,
and you kind of like elevate them, right? Mm-hmm. It just shows that attention to detail, like even the small things such as the marketing, the kits, that community, because soccer is all about the community, and without the community, without the fans, we wouldn't be, quite frankly, doing a lot of this, right?
Well, and I mean, ours is special too, because you can do what we've done in Louisville from a stadium perspective and a facility perspective, and you can have a men's and women's club, and you can have all these things, and there's no guarantee that 10,000 people are going to show up to watch every game.
Right.
We have something that I think a lot of markets have tried to replicate, and they think, well, if we just build what Louisville builds, people will show up, and that's just not the case.
It only happens in the movies.
There's something going on here where people have bought into this and they care about it. They make it a big part of their lives. Does it fit well on our sports calendar? Absolutely. We don't face a ton of competition in the summer, and this is a college sports city.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time, I think for a lot of people who are coming to games, their only experience going to soccer games before this was probably pulling up lawn chairs at their siblings' games. And so this is a new experience for a lot of folks. And it's been awesome to see not just that it was big and that people showed up because they thought, oh, if enough of us are here, we'll go to MLS, or if enough of us are here, they'll build a stadium, but that they've kept coming out and it's kept growing.
Yeah.
And that's just a big part of what we want to acknowledge this season in our marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And since you said it, I am so glad that it seems that Louisville City is becoming kind of the poster child of USL championship, or
I hope so,
or further child, or of higher, because of all the news that's been coming out and everything. And I love the comment to promote it. But sorry, I like the when the announcement came out with the Premier, USL Premier coming out. Your all's post was like, did we just get promoted?
Well, I mean, so we were a little caught off guard by the timing of the news, but I'm like, if we don't get into that, then I don't think anybody's qualified, right? So I think probably us more than a lot of other clubs have been able to discuss that without much mystery. I think we're already a ready-made Division I club because we are on the NWSL side, and the NWSL is a very large league. So we feel good about that, and I hope that news inspires some other markets. Maybe gives them reason to say what we have can be better. If you go back to, I've been around this team since the beginning. I used to be a journalist, and one of the biggest stories about how the USL had said, if you don't have a stadium, a soccer-specific stadium by 2020, you will be out of the league. And I think our owners were like the only ones to listen. So they opened that stadium in 2020, and there seemed to be no consequences for the rest. And so I'm hoping the creation of this new division kind of serves as that inspiration of other Lynn family stadium type of facilities popping up around the country, because there deserve to be more Division I soccer markets in the country than MLS accept. You can't just stop at 30 or whatever they're at, especially when you look around and you say there's no team in Oklahoma City, there's no team in New Orleans and Baltimore and Milwaukee, and obviously Iowa and Arkansas have expressed interest. So there's a lot of room for the game to grow, and this is a good way for it to continue to grow and not have people feeling like, well, I can't get into MLS, I better not build a stadium.
Right. Yeah, it's one of the things that I always talk about with my non-soccer friends, is even in my professional sports for the most part. You look at all like the NFL, NBA, there's 30 teams for a country of 330 million people. Right. That's like, if I do the quick math in my head, that's like 10 million people a team.
And soccer's different, because, okay, you can say, yeah, we're in Louisville, Kentucky, we don't have an NFL team, but, University of Louisville is, for all intents and purposes, a professional football team. I mean, they have a 60,000 seat stadium. University of Kentucky is an hour down the road. Soccer doesn't have that same infrastructure. You're going to need people to create clubs, and I know there's some proposals out there related to the college game that they could see that grow as well. But, it's like I feel like we're a little top heavy right now, where you have these. Yeah. You're either all or nothing, and that's
MLS or bust.
That's not fair to a lot of communities that I think want this thing, and increasingly are going to want it more and more because of something like the World Cup coming up. So when you look at the USL's timeline about, hey, this will start in 27 or 28, that's not coincidental. They want to use that momentum.
Yeah, no, there's only really one other sport that I would say in this country that isn't quite so top heavy, and that would be baseball, given that it's based in almost every town. Yeah. And I've always envisioned soccer emulating that, being almost in every town has a soccer club.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Varying level. And I think seeing what Louisville City is obviously really pushing this, and as well as USL pushing this idea of just pushing the envelope a little bit and expanding those markets is always a great thing.
I love the baseball analogy, and I've used it myself, and I would take it a step further. And it's like, it's great to have minor league baseball in your community, but those players aren't part of your community. We've got players on our team that have been here since the start, and they make their homes here. They raise their families here, and they're here to win championships for us, not to try to score a goal on Saturday and get called up somewhere on Sunday. So I think soccer is a much better pitch in terms of a future in lower division or Division I USL level.
Yeah, and as Pope Swedicious here says, with the MLS being 99% behind a paywall, Division I league can hit the ground running within their local communities. And I think that's the biggest impact to me personally is a lot of the clubs are community focused. A lot of the teams that we tend to see that are other sports tend to be not as community centered as what I tend to see with the soccer clubs, regardless of level. You tend to see more of that community focusedness. And I think if the USL really hits that hard, I think the league can stand out and do more things like you have been saying, like Louisville City, very community based. And just drive everybody into it. You don't have to be a 3 million population place. You can fill a stadium, 15,000 people, and you have a passionate fan base, and it'll work out, right? So, but yeah, so I know that's not what.
Yeah, we got off on a
but I mean,
it's tangent. Yeah,
it's what people are talking about, though. I mean, I like it. I feel like it's injected some like just energy into the whole thing. And I'm not saying it had stopped growing or it had become stagnant, but MLS has become really closed off. And if that's the dream of a place to make your club bigger, and you're obviously not going to get there, then where's the aspiration, right? And so I think this has just given everybody a fresh jolt of aspiration towards something bigger, and it's going to be, I think, the biggest story in the league, in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, because a lot of people on the show, we kind of joke about it with the whole pro rel talks. I'm not going into that tonight. I'm going to take a drink now because of that. But it's always been talked about for years and years, and so having this new little carrot or this new impetus jolt, hopefully set that joke aside for a little bit longer, because this seems more real than some of the previous stuff that have kind of propped up over the years. So yeah, I think it's good. Talk about it. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. So jerseys. Let's talk about the transfer over to Puma. Why Puma? What was the decision behind that? Because I mean, I'll say, tech-wise, obviously a good choice, but as a guy who just likes to collect jerseys, there's some. It's a template program. Let's be honest.
Right.
So why Puma?
We shopped this thing around. It wasn't just Puma that we spoke to, but when our deal was up with our provider that we had been with for 10 years, it was like, we've come a long way since then, and we see ourselves as a different caliber of club than maybe when we started. And you look at Puma and where they are in North America. You have one brand that's with MLS, you have one that is with NWSL, and that makes us one of Puma's largest North American soccer partners. And so now we go back to the first call that I had with them when we were talking about just the content and the announcement of going to the brand in January. And I kind of said, I get it. We're not Man City. We're not Dortmund. We're not AC Milan. And the guy, he stopped me right there and he was like, well, we don't care about any of that. You're going to get the same sort of treatment and respect from us as any of our other clubs around the world. And so, it's not just the talk, it's the contract. And for an organization, it means so much more than the kit, really. It's the type of support that they provide in terms of the team gear, in terms of what we can sell in our store. One of the biggest complaints I would hear from people regarding our merchandise in the past is like, we weren't really able to sell what the team wore. And so when our coach did an interview in a snazzy new polo, or the guys wore a really cool jacket when they walked in, off the bus on a road game, that wasn't in the store. That's going to change, and we'll have more of that authentic stuff that the guys are wearing. And I think that's what people want to buy. And it's very professional looking, and based on the early numbers, it is selling really well. So we did an in-person kit reveal the other night at a brewery near our stadium, and that stuff was like flying off the racks. And I'll also say from Puma, it's like way more reasonably priced. So our kits went down in price, $20 year over year. T-shirts retail at $25. I think a puffer jacket we put on sale for right at $100 today. So I'm like, when in 2025 has anything ever gotten cheaper? But Louisville City Kits did. So
yeah, that was one thing that I was going through, because I literally just keep going to the website and going to the search bar and just typing in Puma and just seeing everything. There's still some like placeholders that just say like $25 and there's nothing there yet. So, because I could tell you're still just releasing stuff constantly.
Right.
And
we wanted to make sure, we had enough for the in-person launch, and then we'll have a lot more of this stuff coming online soon.
So I've been, appreciating all the T-shirts, because I will say, I like Adidas. It is it's a good quality product, but I like to buy the tech T-shirts and the workout gear and stuff like that, because I have emailed you, I'm training for a marathon right now, so I'm not just wearing cotton. I'm trying to wear athletic gear, and like you said, it kind of essentially dropped off. I remember year one, I have a polo and a couple just T-shirts with the logo brand on the front, just a big Louisville City shield, and that's it. Every once in a while, they would come out with one that's Louisville City across the front, and the wood mark style. Yeah. But it's nice to see day one, Puma already has different style shirts, already has different logos for Louisville, different designs. It's nice to feel important again.
Yeah. I mean, we've over the years kind of gone to more of, because we couldn't get as much Adidas, we're signing with a lot of different companies, and you end up getting all sorts of different clothes and things. And it's great. I mean, it's good for style, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of people, they want to wear what the team wears, or they want to wear, that really simple, Puma logo track jacket or quarter zip to work or something like that. And it's great that we can now offer all that stuff.
Yeah. And one of the things that, obviously we're a kit show, so we're a little biased in wanting kits. And obviously you said they were cheaper, which I do appreciate. However that happened, I do appreciate that. But kind of thing that you're kind of alluding to, that we also sometimes talk about, teams who also have a bunch of other merch that people can wear, it makes it more, I would say more impacts, as this might be blasphemous, than the kit can. Just you can put on a jacket, you can wear a hat all the time, or a scarf to a T-shirt. You don't need to wear a jersey all the time. And I think nailing that part down really helps, your fans feel like they belong. Yeah. And then be a part of the community and show off your team, even in non-sporting environment.
And I mean, admittedly, a solid purple vibrant shirt isn't going to be a fit for everyday life in all situations. So you got to have the other gear too. Right. I will say we had this debate today in the office a little bit, because the Racing Louisville shirts also came out, and they were a forest green. We work with Nike's designers, kind of take the lead on that, and then it's we got to find a story for it. But we've done a darker violet that I would say is a play on our lavender. And this was meant to be a darker green, a play on our mint, and we just had this whole conversation in the office today about how jerseys in soccer are so different, because I'm not really a jersey person. I don't really collect them, but I understand that it's not really about how the team looks on the field. It's just somebody hey, can I wear this with a pair of jeans? Does this look good in my everyday?
You sound like Kaler. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think the green for racing really fits that. Just a really solid shirt. I think the away for Lou City, the white with the gray, I think that's the same thing. I get the culture, of why these shirts are so important, and it's not necessarily about how the team looks when they're winning in them. It's more about how we look.
I mean, it does have a connection though, because you're talking about winning. Well, let's be honest with what happened last year. There was a black and blue kit that kind of showed up and then didn't show up anymore. So sometimes
we sold them all though. We sold them all.
So, because they look good. They were good looking kids, and then but you didn't restock that for some reason.
One run.
Yeah.
And I'll answer. I know you got the comment on there about the away kits with the purple waves. We tested that. I liked it, and then it got really busy when you put everything else on there. We had a little bit of a fear that it actually wound up looking a lot like a home kit. And you want to make sure you have something to wear in every situation, no matter what the other team has to mix and match. So that was, we looked at it, and I'm always like a more color, more pop kind of person. And on this one, I was actually like, oh, the gray. I think we need to go with the gray.
Yeah, so. Which is something I actually wanted to ask. So obviously, there aren't many purple teams within USL. Actually, I don't think there's really purple teams in general outside of. Actually, no, I don't think there really is any. So does that kind of factor in a little bit to kind of how you make the home kits, knowing there really aren't a lot of other purple teams, so obviously you can wear that quite often, as well as designing your away and or third kits to kind of, not blend in as much, and like how much of that kind of helps factor in with some of your kits that you.
So the purple has definitely been emphasized since we went to the new badge and rebrand, which I think that was the end of 2020. So 2021 on, it was like, the gold came out of the logo, and obviously we still use touches of gold. There's gold on the crest, but that was really the idea behind that, and the guy who designed that, it was Matthew Wolf, who does like all the good soccer logos, was like, your purple is unique, so lean into that. And so I think our home is always going to be something where it's purple forward, and away is probably always going to be something that's white with hints of other things. And I will say I'm really excited about our third this year.
That's going to be my question.
I can't say a whole lot about it, but I can
tell us everything. It's okay.
my hint would be is that when I'm talking about our brand campaign and the city and things, it really leans into that. So
map kit. You heard it here.
It's not a map. No, I'm so tired of seeing maps. Like when did maps become so cool that everybody's like, we can just put this on here?
San Diego.
Yeah.
That's always been our thought. We can't hate a map kit when they're made, but I'm tired of them.
Yeah, I still like map kits, and I even said to him, I was like, if Louisville comes out with a map kit, I'm going to buy it. I promise I will, but like I will also like rate it lowly, because like I love them, but also like there's just so many of them. Everybody has a map kit, and it's San Diego's fault because they did it first, or at least big wise, and they did it right.
Yeah, I think it was when we had just joined the NWSL the season before. I think the Chicago Red Stars had a map kit.
They did.
I remember seeing that, and I loved their branding, the colors and just everything around that. And I was like, that's really good. And like, I guess it's just the way my brain works is I would see them do a map kit that well and go, well, that idea has kind of been done.
Yeah,
we need to do something else. And then I guess others see it and they're like, oh, I need a map kit too.
Yeah. I appreciate that first thought. Like something cool that comes out, I get the understanding like, oh, we should try that as well. But like, no, be you, represent your city. Like you're not Chicago, you're not San Diego, be Louisville.
And our third kit will do that. I can promise that.
Oh, good. So I wanted to I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to pop up the kits that were released here. And this is the official release here from Louisville City. And obviously, one of the things that I've noticed here, obviously, you kind of hinted at earlier in the episode, these are just people who are just in and about the city. You have someone in a drain, people chatting at, I think, is that a museum there?
That's the Muhammad Ali Center. So Ali's from Louisville, yeah.
I do know that. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. But like, this seems like an everyday type of setting, which seems to match up with kind of what you were wanting with the marketing.
Yeah, so on the right side, that's downtown, just a courtyard area. Bottom right is Rabbit Hole. That's a distillery, a bourbon distillery that's downtown, one of our club partners. If you're ever in Louisville and you're like, where can I go to see bourbon without having to like go out into the country? Rabbit Hole is a great choice. Bottom middle, that's the record store. Bottom left is our facility, and then the top left is, I believe, just City Street, the park area. So, yeah, we went all over the place for this, and I'll say I think the folks, let's see, bottom left, bottom middle, we knew already. Everybody else, knew people that we worked with as part of this project, and we actually put a form out sometime in January, maybe beginning of January, just asking people like, hey, do you want to model in anything that we do? And I remember I was talking to our designer, and she's like, we should send this to the email database. And I was like, just post it on Instagram. You're going to get thousands if we just send that to everybody. And I think we got like 700 in the first 2 days submissions. So we've been combing through all that. Luckily, we didn't send it out to everybody. We could have sent it to her. That would have been a nightmare to sort through. But, funny enough, a lot of people want pictures of themselves and cool stuff. So imagine that.
I may or may not have started to fill that out. And then he was like, can you, it was like, what's your availability? I'm like, oh, in Louisville? Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I can take my old photos, like.
You're modeling now, though. We still hooked you up.
Yeah, exactly. I will always model Louisville City. I still wear my first, season one. Like, actually, this is actually going to be a part of the interview that's scheduled for Saturday, but we were talking to the creator from Minneapolis City, and we were talking about, like, what's your favorite kit that you own? Like, and mine was still Louisville City, like, day one. Okay, it's just, like, literally purple T-shirt, essentially. But it's my city's first jersey, and and the fact that I can fit in it again just makes me so happy, and that's the impact that Louisville has had, like, on me personally, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying too, I look forward to, hearing from a lot of people who kind of grow up, and we at the beginning we used to talk about, oh wow, this wasn't even here 2-3 years ago, and you're about to have a generation come through that doesn't remember a time without professional soccer in Louisville, and just seeing how that generation sort of embraces the club as they go into the workforce and can afford their own season tickets. I think I'm kind of tipping my hat though, because I kind of want to use that as our marketing campaign next year, so don't spoil too much of that
for the kids.
I don't know. I'm thinking like I don't know, Generation Lou City or something. I don't. I got to think on it, but
I like that.
Hey, I will say they do have quite a few inspirations who come through your youth academy, which I think is always a thing that I want every club to try to do, and I think Lou City is one of the best examples of developing, playing, and then exporting that local talents to the best of their abilities.
Well, I mean, the ultimate example of that is there's a picture that we posted when Josh Winder made his transfer to Benfica, was him on the field at the first Louisville City game. A friend of his, I don't know if it was his dad, was like doing the coin toss or something, but he was on the field with the players. And, one of the players in the picture happened to be Niall McCabe, who's played every season here and was eventually a teammate of Josh's. And I mean, Josh had to be like 7 years old, in that picture. It's 8 years old. So I look forward to seeing more of that happen. There's a lot of kids who are growing up who are walkout kids and ball kids. And I always love seeing that in England when they're like, oh, here he was handing the ball to so-and-so for the quick throw in. And 5 years later, he's in the starting lineup tonight for the first time and that sort of thing. So I think we have more of those stories on our way too.
Okay. That's what I'm excited for, especially because, I mean, as a teacher, also, like, I teach first grade. Like, all I have are 6 and 7 year olds, and I'm indoctrinating them into loving soccer. If I can indoctrinate them into something, that's the only thing I can do. So, and it's going to be so cool to see, like you said, like, this generation of kids that, like, again, my first graders, if I was in Louisville, these first graders that are in Louisville, they have had Louisville City their entire lives. Mm-hmm. When I was subbing in Louisville, and I would always wear like a Louisville City polo to work because you have to as a season ticket holder. And like, I would have like a little girl come up to me in kindergarten class to be like, I go to Louisville City games. I go to Louisville. I'm like, yeah, you do. And I give high fives. Like, it just connects the city. And if you know anything about Louisville, it's made out of like 12 different cities, probably more than that. But then like it all came together in Jefferson County. If you're in St. Louis, there's like the city of St. Louis, and then everybody else is their own city. Like they don't claim St. Louis. Like there's O'Fallon, there's St. Charles, there's North County, there's South County, there's, and it's all, and they're all different school districts, and that blew my mind because Louisville, it's all Jefferson County.
You're going to start a metro merger debate in here if you don't watch it. I don't
Do
know.
it.
I remember being that being controversial when I was a kid. I don't know why, but it was. So.
Oh yeah. Wait, where'd you go to high school? We have to ask that.
Yeah, I went to Trinity, so let me have it. So.
Private school, fancy kids. I went to Butler. We were kind of private school.
You were traditional.
Yeah, a traditional program. Brett's just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the country farm town out in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah.
Hey, somebody says go Rocks.
All right, I'm class of 08, so.
Yeah.
But
Michael says St. X over Trinity.
That's...
See, you wanted to start a battle. This is the sports battle of Louisville. Is it in 100% honesty? If you're from Louisville, you have a private school that you cheer for. You could be the poorest kid, and you'll be like St. X all day.
Let's see. Like, I'm like mirrored. That picture right there. That's like a Trinity football collage. So I've had since I was a kid, still on the wall.
There you go. It's just it blows my mind how many people like have such like they sells out the football stadium for Louisville's old football stadium. It sells out like a high school football game, and that's what sports means to us. You know?
Basketball here, man.
Basketball matters too, but the St. X Trinity football game is
unique. Yeah,
it's the battle of the bluegrass. We don't care about Commonwealth Cup or the Governor's Cup or any of that. No, it's St. X and Trinity. But it is good to hear that you're actually from Louisville and not just like a transplant who's.
Yeah, I the only years I've spent outside of Louisville, I went to Western Kentucky for college, and my first job was in Evansville, Indiana, where I had interned there, and came back 2013 to work at the Courier-Journal as a reporter.
Nice.
And I still remember one day I got a Facebook message, back when I still had an active Facebook page, from somebody who said, "You need to go to Molly Malone's tonight." There's an Irish bar.
Yeah.
There's going to be a group of people who are going to start a soccer team. And I was like, well, that sounds like far-fetched as hell. Why would they be having a meeting at Molly Malone's? But I found a Facebook group for it. And I went out there, and it ended up being Phil Rollins from Orlando City and Wayne Estopanol, who was an architect from Jeffersonville, Indiana, right across the river. And Wayne had somehow, in some way along the way, become a board member of Orlando City, even though he was local to here, because I think the Austin Aztecs were maybe moved to Orlando, and that's what became their USL franchise. And then when they were going to MLS, they transferred the USL franchise to Louisville. And so it wasn't so much a meeting, but it was like a celebration, because they were like, we aren't giving this to anybody else. And there were a lot of people in the room that night that still come to games. The bar was packed. The mayor was there, I remember. And so I was, when you say from the beginning, I was in the room, not as a fan, but as a reporter. And it's just interesting where life takes you.
Yeah.
And now you're on the payroll. That's a dream. And that's funny that you went to Western, because I went to Eastern. So we're the ultimate rivals. Right?
Yeah.
Even though that's also two different divisions. And
yeah, I was there like right when Western had gone to FBS, so I think they kind of stopped playing around then, but people talked about it. So.
Well, I do have a few more questions about this kit. Obviously, we kind of hint, we see both of these kits. I just kind of ask you, what is, at least from your perspective, your favorite part of the set of Louisville? I know you kind of hinted at I think the Gray Waves, was it? On the away a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so like you guys have said, this is obviously a templated kit. It's been used a few times. It's not been used in purple, but I think what we've done over the years is we've taken templates and we've tried to put our own spin on them.
Okay.
So the badge, I've not seen one like this. I'm not saying that they haven't existed before, but the company that we worked with did the badge, and it usually looks gold. It kind of depends on the light that's coming off it, but I think the gold is appropriate for us. We called it iridescent, so it's kind of just taking whatever light it's getting. But I think that's a way to really liven up, a kit template that has been used, but kind of make it our own.
Yeah. That's if you've watched our show in the past, and whenever I give Louisville flack, the one thing that I can always say is that the badge always looks nice, because that's something that you all worked hard. Like when we came out with the black and gold kits, it had the gold badge, and I'm like, at least they're trying to do something with the template. Like, it sounds like this is something that we can control. Well,
black and gold was such an unlikely success story. We were, like months into the season, and we didn't have a third kit, but we needed to get one because you need to make some revenue off a third kit. And we had tried everything, and we just kind of went with like, oh, we'll just put some gold trim on a black shirt. And then we got that badge, and it ended, they sold out so quickly. And once they came in, I was like, guys, this is going to do really well. Once you see the gold, I was like, even though it's simple and you can say like, oh, Tulsa kind of did this already, or LAFC or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but we haven't done it here. And I think that's kind of what gets lost sometimes is, it's been done in the soccer world, but it hasn't been done in your community, and your fans don't have anything like that. And so a lot of people embrace that. It helps when you wear it and you do good things. Kind of speaking of last year's third kit, it didn't go very well. That year's third kit we wore and had 14,600 people at the game, and we beat the Rowdies that night, and so instantly it was a classic.
It's crazy what one game can do to a kit.
Legacy game.
Yeah, exactly. Man, that was a big gulp. Sorry, I got distracted. We're professional here. Right. I know as a journalist, you could tell.
Sorry.
But,
what was it? Was it you guys that were in the Forbes article or whatever?
It was our parent company. So
we're not quite there yet.
we're in the USL Show network.
Okay.
And so the USL Show is run mainly by Kaler, but they have a plethora of hope who's commented below about the monochrome badge.
Yeah, we know Kaler.
Yeah, everybody knows Kaler.
Everyone, yeah.
You're probably like, stop emailing me, Kaler. But and we've had this show for about 4 years, but then we finally connected it to the USL Show. And then there's also, Kaler has his own show about being a goalie. There's the another show that's just like stats. And Kaler has his own Legion show as well, but we don't talk about that. That's not a part of the USL Show network. But yeah, there's a bunch of shows on it. So
we appreciate it. Just the coverage, and that, I know this isn't anybody's day job, just putting the time in, to tell these stories. And we try with our traditional media, and sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't, but it never is to this depth of something that somebody who comes to the game, the 30 seconds on the news just serves a different purpose than usually sitting down and having a conversation.
Yeah, let's be honest about I think I'm not going to say stop going to the news and stuff like that, because that's going to catch some people's eyes, but a lot of younger generational kids are kind of not necessarily watching traditional news outlets much anymore, because you don't or traditional TV anymore. You don't just sit there and have the TV going all morning. So it's going to be hard to catch people's eyes. If that's your marketing scheme and that's all you're going to go with, you're probably going to fail quickly.
Yeah, there's more content being consumed than ever before. It's just, different mediums. So.
Makes your job a lot harder.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think the old sports info guys, they talk about how you used to just put a piece of paper in the fax machine, and that did everything you needed to do, because that's how you sent everything out to all the newspapers. And yeah, now it's a lot more complicated.
Well, I will say, it is always nice whenever teams do reach out to us, because we always love talking with people behind some of these creative ideas, the marketing, this whole design process, because we love to kind of, just chat about that, learn more about that. I think people apparently like to also watch it as well. So we always do appreciate teams and people who do join us for this. It's always a fun conversation. And, a lot of, I always say this, the USL needs more people to cover it. And I think more times when teams and the league reaches out to some of the sources who already are trying to cover it, I think always is some good sign of goodwill.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we gotta get you a kit too, so we need to fix that.
Yeah, Brett. Yeah, Brett. Where Louisville City, Brett?
We'll fix that.
He's from Indy.
Oh, okay.
He's an Indy.
Tonal shift.
I will say he will
rep nice kit for once.
He will rep racing.
I will rep racing.
There we go.
Racing. I have no beef with racing. I'm actually going to. Long story. I did a raffle with Fox. He does his charity raffle with the American Outlaws every year. I actually won tickets to a race in Louisville/Louisville City game, and I'm planning on attending a race in Louisville game this summer.
Was that the work of Brian Davis? Was that his? Do you know him?
Who do I talk to with that? I've talked to Brian before, but I just go through the official form.
Yeah. Whenever I hear about the American Outlaws and anything connected to Louisville, I'm like, that's Brian Davis.
Oh no! So all the American Outlaws, that's actually just me for this, because again, I'm on the American Outlaws St. Louis, but then when the American Outlaws, they came out with AO Impact, which helps raise money for any level of type of soccer that you want, and I decided I wanted to stream for a long time. I wanted to do it for a charity, and I found AO Impact. I'm like, this is awesome. This is exactly what I want to do it for. So, and I reached out to them. They were down. So then I just started reaching out to teams from all over and, begging for stuff. And actually, Louisville was one of the first ones that really,
I was going to say, we did that.
Yeah. You all have done it every year. Now, I'll be honest, if this is with love, I think it's became more streamlined, which probably made it easier for you all, because you all had the foundation now, the Louisville City Foundation.
Yeah.
And which does great things. But when I was first sending out emails, I got a team signed scarf and everything, and it was amazing. And I had a huge box of a bunch of T-shirts and scarves and just other things too, like gifts. But now I get it's okay, here's your tickets, here's a couple T-shirts.
Yeah.
Good luck. So it's become streamlined. I understand it, and I'm sure a lot more people are asking for a lot more stuff than 10 years ago when I was asking, so not 10 years, it's 5 years now. So that's with love though. It's but if I'm going to complain about something, I got to complain about something, right?
Hey, I will say I forgot I had that Race in Louisville shirt, because that was also part of my. I could have worn that tonight. Dang.
I know. I'm surprised you didn't.
I forgot about it. So it's a PJ shirt, so I don't wear it often. So I forget I have
It's
it.
a PJ shirt.
We'll hook you up. We'll take care of that.
Yeah.
I'll just wait and see what some of my indie folks will say. But so is there anything else, thoughts that you have questions on, obviously, that we want to talk about with regards to the kits, some of the marketing, some of the messaging? We can even throw up what the Race in Louisville kit wanted to maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to throw up the racing kit, throw up on the screen, because I appreciate it, because I do like what you talked about, how it's a darker mint essentially. But I will say, as a kit collector, it is very simple, but I do like the run with us and everything involved. So do you just want to talk about this one real quick? Because, well, first of all, will the USLW team be wearing this kit, right?
So NWSL works a little differently. Last year we debuted, we call it the Winter Circle kit. It's the lavender and white argyle that kind of looks like jockey silks.
Right. Yeah.
We're wearing that again as our primary this year. So this will be our
Okay.
secondary that replaces it was like a very plain solid purple last year that we had. So, this is sort of the league saying, okay, you have a white kit, so we need to get you something colored that you can wear again, whether you need to home or away. And Nike, the design process is a little different. Nike will kind of like come to us and say, here's what we're thinking, and they go and design it. And then we kind of help them tell the story that we want to tell with it. So when they came back and they were like, would you care to use a color that's not really your color? And we're like, no, it's a secondary, have fun. This is what they came up with, and it's pretty cool. The details, I would say on the side, they called them pressed lilies, and they're just like green lilies on there. They've got the Run With Us, which is was our first kind of slogan. So that's kind of a throwback to the season 1 of racing. We're in season 5 now, but this just gives us another look, and I think it's still kind of foreign when an American team does this, but you look around and like in England and everything, they've had so many seasons and everything. It's not too strange to see a team wear something that's not their color and not traditional. So
see a Man United blue jersey, like
right.
It doesn't really even throw me off,
No, it's one of the things that Fox and I kind of talk about. We always say make your home kit, your traditional, what it should be. In your case, purple, very purple. And then your secondary, have a little bit of fun. I always say the third had even more fun, personally. Third kits, that's usually my vibes. But generally, that's usually what I always talk about. And I appreciate when teams do that. Because, at the end of the day, it's about not clashing with the other teams.
Right.
And if you happen to look good in the process, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
Look good, play good. That's the rule.
I love the material on these. It's like kind of a stretchy mesh fabric, and it's not too heavy.
You kind of see that a little bit.
Yeah, that's one thing that I actually really like about this Puma one. Has some stretch to it.
Those feel so much better than our Adidas kits. The Adidas ones were they were kind of heavy and thick, and I always wondered like how our players like played in them, especially you guys know the climate around here is just like what you guys have in the summer. You could see it too, like you could see them sweating through it often, and I saw one of those or held it and was like, this is a lot better if I'm a player.
That was the first thing I thought of. Like when we signed with Puma, I'm like, well, first thing I thought of, let's be honest, templates. But then the second thing I was like, well, the tech is there.
Yeah,
like, Puma does do a good job with. So like this is going to be really good for the players, for the team itself, for sure. So
it's one of the things that I always kind of forget about is obviously I'm gonna wear whatever kit it is in the climate controlled inside. Generally, I'm not going to be sweating and running in it. I'm not the athlete, and I usually get the authentic kits. I always forget about the athlete part.
The athlete, and I mean, quite frankly, Puma is very good for our business. The contract that they did with us, they respect us, and clubs at the end of the day got to operate, and Puma helps us in that regard.
Yeah, and
that's good to hear.
Not against that.
So if they keep Louisville surviving, keep moving up the.
Not that we're going anywhere, but
exactly.
Yeah.
You always get nervous after everything that happened with 2020, all the clubs that you see folding and stuff. But I mean, not only that, but like the fact. So we were talking about the ranks from like going from academy to on the field. I mean, we got like George Davis to fourth now, moving up the ranks from player to or coach at one point to what's his position? He just got he was interim and he's just official. I can't think of his
you're talking about James, is that what you said?
George Davis, the fourth.
George. Yeah, George, executive director of our foundation.
Yeah, so thank you.
He does a great job at. I mean, the guy. We call it the soccer ball. Obviously, it's a play on the sport, but kind of our annual gala. And I mean, a speech he gave last year, he crushed it. So, Yeah, I think that's going to be another thing with our club that, we've got a lot of veteran guys that I think, might decide in the next couple of years that they're done playing and hopefully they come back into the club and into the office and work with us.
Yeah.
I think
if Miles McCabe leaves the city of Louisville for any reason, we will riot. Like, I'm just saying.
and even we've had Luke Spencer, who was a former player. He's now the coach at FC Tulsa. He came from our academy. Paolo Del Piccolo is our boys director of the academy. He works with our first team. So we've got it on both the soccer and the non-soccer side. I'm excited to see what these guys will do non-soccer. Selfishly, I want these popular players to come in and sell tickets,
that's the same marketing.
That's going to work really well to help us is if you've got the former player that everybody knows saying, hey, I really need you at the game. So that and community outreach and marketing is a lot of different paths I think these guys can take. But
and it's something that, what's always, I think, more teams do, especially celebrating the 10 years that a lot of teams are starting to celebrate more.
Right.
Indy did theirs, I think 11th was last year. Louisville did their 10th. You started seeing some history being made. And I think when clubs and teams really tie into that and really embrace whatever history that is, I think that's important, because we've seen a lot of teams rebrand, or they tend to forget, or they just erase it, especially when they move leagues or whatever. Right. I like it when
St. Louis,
or even teams whatever. There's probably a bunch who've moved from whatever divisions they've done that, and I think it's important to always embrace that history and to keep them within the team and to keep honoring that history.
Yeah, I watched a documentary over Christmas a couple of years ago. It was about Bayern Munich, and I can't remember what platform it was on. It was kind of hard to watch because it was dubbed. It wasn't in English, but everybody, the president, the board, the technical director, everybody who was making decisions on both the business and the sports side were all former Bayern players. Yeah. And I was like, that's
the dream.
Who cares more, right? That's not a job for them. That's a life. And so, I think we'll get there.
Yeah. Bring Mark Anthony K back.
I think he's still got some good years ahead of him, right?
He's been an average MLS player, but he's not on the Canadian team anymore, sadly.
Yeah.
But see, again, that's something that Louisville has always done, is that the players are quality human beings as well. Even the Cameron Lancasters and the hot shots, the ones that do what they do really, really well, they still are a part of the community, and they still I feel like I'm best friends with Sean Tosh, and I've talked to him twice, and I give him a high five, and I still feel like I'm best friends with him. So, and same with Mark Anthony K, because I remember sent him a DM on Instagram. I'm like, hey bro, supporting you right now, watching the Canada game. You got this. We're so proud of you. And he's like, I appreciate that. We'll see you back in Louisville. What such jersey do you wear?
Yeah.
I was like, what? And he brought me a away Canada jersey, because, one, they weren't even selling them either. You couldn't find Canada Umbro jerseys. And now I have one signed by Mark Anthony K with the K on the back. It's one of my prized possessions.
Yeah. Down to earth people, self-policing locker room, we just haven't had a lot of problems over the years. Yeah. So.
Well, perfect. And obviously, as an Indy fan, I always hear all this good stuff about Louisville City. But I always tell Fox I'm always envious of all the stuff, the stadium. I'm not going to into that with Indy. I
want to see something built. We're not rooting against Indy's future. Even as a rival, it's we want to see it built. We want to go up there, and we want them to be part of that first division. So.
Well, you can't have a rivalry if they die off, right? If it goes away, and that Lipif is
my man.
Yeah, that's it. But that rivalry is something natural, and I feel like that naturally occurred. It wasn't just like, I know we talk about the title of the proximity, like Lexington. That's it's proximity. Indy, I feel like, started because of the Open Cup. We were playing so many, like every year we would start off against Indy, and it was always such a big thing because technically we were on the same division, just in different leagues.
Yeah, it was. I remember, again, like I was a reporter at the start, and our paper in Louisville was owned by the same company as Indy's papers, so I would read a lot of articles about Indy 11, and I was like, seems like a big thing, like that, and it was, right. I mean, they were getting massive crowds, and I think that sort of like gave me a respect for what Louisville City was doing as a reporter, because I'm like, I think this has a lot of potential. And was Indy? It started in 14. They started playing, so it was like 1 year ahead, or was it 2 years ahead?
Yes, 2014 first year in NASL.
Yeah, so I think that kind of gave a blueprint of what it could be, and I know that they had those same aspirations of like, we're going to build a stadium and go to MLS and all that sort of stuff, and they're sticking around. So
yeah, it's just confusing not knowing where we're going to play, but it's okay. I'll figure it out. I'll weather the storm. But I always tell Bots, I am always envious of just the ability that y'all have shown for consistency, because that's something that I always strive for Indy to have, because their consistency and consistent is what I say. Y'all have obviously the trophies. You have the youth academy, which Indy's improving. You have the stadiums. You have all of these things. I think, regardless of just Indianapolis, every club should look for, and it always is fun to kind of see behind the hood of that well-ran organization, at least from the outside.
It's pretty well ran,
I'm
sure every sports organization it probably moves at a faster pace than a regular job, but it's a good place to be.
Yes. Well, Fox, do you have anything else after I just gave Louisville City some of their flowers? Probably need a
I'll give Indy flowers, and that's their pre-match posters or their match day posters. Yeah. And I have one like literally right next to me because it's the way day. But like, it's a sick poster.
Is that Trey Higdon era? Oh yeah.
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 Yep.
They did some good stuff.
Was that the playoff game in 19, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
one
this one
he's talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
How did that game end?
How did that game end?
Because I was there, and I was bitter for 6 months.
The pan of that, though, after the goal to like the Louisville City fans is like pretty legendary.
Can't lie. It was.
Well, it's because like I was in Louisville, I was in St. Louis. Like I was living here at that time, and I was watching on the TV, and I was like, honestly, as long as we keep Pasha from scoring, we'll be fine. Oh, like literally, I said that. I'm like, I did this to myself. I am so sorry, everybody. Like, it was my fault. Tyler scored, but then we came back, and the final, it was
Yeah, I was very depressed that evening on my walk to the stage and shake it down the road. So,
to the stage.
Good memories, but way to drag up one of my least favorite memories. But
it's a great memory.
It's one of my least favorite. So, but I expect nothing less. But I do appreciate Jonathan you joining us. Is there anything that you want to spread a word of mouth? Yeah, is there anything you want to kind of mention before we wrap things up here tonight?
No, I feel like we hit it all. Like I said, I'm super appreciative of the platform you all have and what you do to help the USL community, the whole show network. I try to watch as much as I can, or just see the clips and whatnot. But it's really cool, and it keeps people talking about the teams, and especially this time of year as we're coming off the off season, and the information that this show provides, you can't get anywhere else in a lot of instances. So I know all of us at the clubs appreciate the effort you all put in.
Well, we appreciate hearing that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Blush.
Well, Well, we
A
appreciate
big shout out
that.
to the actual USL show that talks about the actual
fun stuff.
the actual soccer of
We rate kits,
Okay.
but we all together really, we really do appreciate those kind words. It's always nice to hear the clubs and people that we've even chatted with who've actually watched the show. So we do appreciate that. What is this? I'm sorry, I'm just seeing something.
That's the longest comment.
Yeah,
But he's talking about how there's the
Yeah, they had
the social distancing.
that was a good one.
Yeah.
that was like right after I had come back to the club.
And you made that and passed it out? Marketing?
No, I did not make it. That was I've had my trolling comments toward Indy over the years. That one was somebody else's idea, but it was a good one.
So if you're listening on the radio or on Spotify, because radios aren't a thing, he said that the next meeting of the clubs after the 2019 Eastern Conference Finals, Louisville City had a business card-esque thing that they passed out with a social distancing joke about the final trophy in Indy. Quality banner. Trolls got a troll.
And that's how we're ending tonight's episode. Anyways,
But
so
Jonathan, thank you so much for being here. Like, it really does mean a lot, especially as a Louisville fan. Like, to just be able to brag for an hour and 11 minutes.
yeah, and I had to sit back and entertain.
Deal with it.
So
Yeah.
it is what it is. So, I think as we wrap things up, honestly, Fox, I just want you to do our very final segment here before we let you go, Jonathan. Fox, can you show off the kit you're rocking right now?
Yeah, it's the 2015 home, or 2015, wow, 2025 home kit from Puma. It's a nice geometric shape, represents the city of Louisville. We got look at the light. Look at the light change.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, this is like literally the best thing in the world. And also, it is nice too that I talked about this on my post, but the USL badge is actually like part of it, and not just either screen printed or non-existent. Like, so many of the kits just don't have the badge. Like, I like my league badges. I don't know.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah. So keep that going. Yeah. I really want, because I had like year 1 and year 2 and year 3, and like there's just the white circle USL patch, and I want one of those just to put on my 2015 kits. But that's something different. Different
story. Yeah, and I decided to rock something a little bit purple still to Seattle Sounders, I think 2022 away kit that they wore. So it's purple. I don't have a Louisville kit, and it's purple. So it's so.
And Jonathan, what are you wearing today?
the new brand, right? So
yeah,
got to keep it on brand. So
it's nice and comfy though, right? Feel like you can go run a mile. Yeah.
Come into the team store soon, right? So
sure.
Hey,
all right.
So as we talked about, join us via Patreon down below. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, and the best way to get in touch with us, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, follow us on the Discord, because there's a lot happening right now in the USL. Lots of teams releasing kits, and we had good content, even from people like Louisville City who produce some good kits, and we have some fun things to talk with them. So, as always, thank you for enjoying us tonight. And once again, thank you, Jonathan, for joining us. It has been a pleasure. We've said that 3 times. I'm a true Midwesterner with 3 goodbyes. Used to that.
Thank you.
So, thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. It'll be on Spotify this weekend. And be sure to follow for Minneapolis City interview on Saturday. Thank you, and have a good night.